been given this wonderful Hare Krishna. It's my immense good fortune that today I have been given this wonderful opportunity to interact with all of you. Am I clearly audible? Is it fine out there technically? Or do we have to wait for some time?
I think it's not coming through the speaker, Prabhu. It's
Hare Krishna.
yeah, it's correct now. Yes.
Fine?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Is it fine coming in?
Yes, Prabhuji. And now it is perfect.
Okay, so very, very fortunate to be amongst all of you. And it's amazing sense of humor of the Supreme Person of Godhead. How, although I'm sitting in one corner of the planet and you're sitting on the other, but still we are like sitting in front of each other by the, mercy of technology. Technology is again coming from Krishna only, but still. So, my name is Pankaj Das. I have done my engineering um, from an IT Rourkela. It's one of the institutes here in India. And after that, I was pursuing my PhD, and then I left all of that, and I'm currently serving here in Pune. And I travel to various places like cities of of Maharashtra, named as Nanded and Aurangabad, currently known as Sambhaji Nagar. And then additionally, I also do travel to the United States. My brother stays there, so got a visa. So Radheshyam Prabhu has instructed me to travel there. And so I go to Boston, Brooklyn, Tampa, Dallas, and Baltimore, these places, and render some service there, whatever is instructed. And also, so Radheshyam Prabhu is my authority, Kanai Thakur Prabhu is my authority and counselor, and also his Gauranga Prabhu. He engages me in certain services whenever. Currently, we are all going to Thane, and Thane is extension center of Chapati, Iskon Chapati, so I'm part of that team. So we will discuss about Bhagavatam now. So it is a wonderful section that has been told. I've been told to talk about today. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, canto number 1, chapter number 5, text number 32. We will just recite the verse once, and then we will chant the prayers. So, is it okay if I share the screen, or
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
can you give the rights, or can you share the screen, whatever comfortable?
We'll make you co-host, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is the verse. Where did it go? 32. So very beautiful verse. Etat samshuchitam brahmans tapatraya chikitshitam yad ishwari bhagavati karma brahmani bhavitam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We'll just read the translation and then we'll recite the prayers and discuss the rest later. O Brahmana Vyasdeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Person of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Dedicate one's activities, bhavitam, to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Okay, let's recite the prayer. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमा ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्ये नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि श्री गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं निन्दाते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणम्। परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. So I thank all of you for kindly assembling uh, today morning. Uh, there at ISKCON Calgary, and also giving me this uh, opportunity to speak about Srimad Bhagavatam. Just for assembling together and reciting, reading, hearing, understanding Srimad Bhagavatam is a perfection of life. Generally when we do something, we think that I will do something and after that I will achieve some results out of it. But um, just hearing, reading, um, understanding, attending, simply being attentive in a Bhagavatam class is in itself the perfection of life. We don't have to do anything after doing this. It's just doing this. That is the means as well, that's the goal. What happens, Prabhupada was asked, what happens when we chant Hare Krishna? What's the output? What's the best benefit that one can get? Prabhupada told, when you chant Hare Krishna, the best thing that can happen is you would like to chant Hare Krishna more. Similarly, when we read Bhagavatam, it's not that we are going to derive some output out of it. That will come, of course. Varieties of things are given. Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, how our material life will cease and how we will get clarity. We will be off from all the rajas and tamas, etc. But that's there. But just reading Bhagavatam in itself is so um, fulfilling in itself that we should just uh, aspire for just being there and just sitting here and listening to Srimad Bhagavatam in itself is perfection. If we just can do this again and again, it's complete, it's fulfilling, it's pure, it's divine. So Shukadev Goswami recites a Srimad Bhagavatam. Sutta Goswami is reciting here, quoting Narad Muni and Vyasadeva. But when we see any of those reciters, Shukadev Goswami or Sutta Goswami or Narad Muni, all of them are so happy and fulfilled and complete. And whoever is listening from them, they are also happy and fulfilled and complete. Because this life, whatever we do, everything is gonna go. Nothing is gonna stay back. If even if we achieve any feats, even if we get any big kind of money or power or uh, good job and all the posts, whatever people hanker for, it's just gonna go. One fine day, we get it, we throw a party, we enjoy it, we have been working hard for the same. But a day will come when, whether we want it or not, we will have to lose it. But that's not the case with bhakti. Bhakti is pure, divine, and complete. So we don't have to, do bhakti to do something more than that. It's just the process of bhakti in itself is so wonderful and fulfilling that it's sufficient. So this section of Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the way Srimad Bhagavatam begins. Actually, the sages at Naimisharanya are really having a tough time wondering how to understand two things in this age of Kali, because they don't know, what's the right thing. They have been following the previous yuga's concepts and doing yagya just to end up making their faces charred black. They're getting nothing out of it. So the process changes every yugas, and the process is the easiest in this yuga because people are not up to the mark. Every yuga we have been getting opportunities to perfect our lives. In the Satya Yuga, we got opportunities to renounce everything, go to the forest. We did not do it. There is a proof for that. All of us, when we were there in Satya Yuga, we did not do it. There is a proof. When why what is the reason we did not do it? Because those who did, they went back. And because we are still here, we were given one more opportunity in the Dwapara Yuga. Do construct lots of temples, to elaborate deity worships, and chant the mantras. Now, it's a big thing happening all over India. Bharat, that Ram temple is coming up, and everywhere there is all the festivities. Just now, I'm coming from a big Shobha Yatra that was organized by some of the people here. Um, but what do you do in the temple? You chant the holy name. What do you do in the forest? You chant the holy name. When one does yajna and then another yoga, then also one has to chant the holy name in the Treta Yoga. But in the Kali Yoga, people who could not do all of that, when the students get to not graduate from one year to another, that's known as year down. So all of us, we did not graduate from that yoga. So we were also, that is known as YD, year down. Similarly, we were also yoga down, YD. One after the other yogas, we have been pushed behind. And lo and behold, we are here in Kali Yoga, where Kalodosh, it's filled with all the problems. It's filled with all the troubles, varieties of troubles that people are facing time and again. And people are so much disturbed. They don't have so much of memory. They don't have so much of good health. They don't have so much of good capacity to withhold energy, withhold, memory. we don't have eligibility. But to the people who are the least eligible, the highest thing has been given by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. But before that, even before Lord Chaitanya came, the sages are wondering what to do about these people. They are all going to suffer. So the sages are troubled because of the suffering that the people are going to have when they come, years later. Just wonder about their, degree of compassion. And for them, they start doing yajnas, but that's not the process. So then they approach Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami speaks that, okay, well, I have a better idea. I have learned it from my spiritual master, Sukadev Goswami. And then they ask, how did this, what's the hope? What's the hope of humanity after the Lord has gone back? And the hope for humanity is the Bhagavatam. He says the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam is the hope for the humanity. And that's little not taken so easily by the sages because they have not come across this statement before. So then Sutta Goswami, he quotes this interaction of Vyasadeva and Narada Muni, where Vyasadeva, he is such an eminent author that it's very difficult to kind of overcome over supersede him. What kind of author is he? Right, he has written as many books that for a person, average person in Kali Yuga, he cannot read that. He has written all of that, which is difficult for us to grasp and read and understand. He has written all of that. He's not normal person. He's a literary incarnation of Supreme Person of Godhead. He has come to give what was known in Shruti. Now he has put it in written because people in this Kali Yuga, Manda Sumanda Matariya Manda Bhagya Padrataha, can't remember what is going on. We don't even remember what was the meal, what was the food, what was the vegetables that we ate 1 week ago, the same day. It's not registered. We don't have capacity. So thus it has to be written. And when it is written, it cannot be changed. That's what is a Shastra. So he wrote a lot of things. He wrote the four Vedas. First, the one Veda was divided into four, and then he wrote the Upanishads. He wrote the so many Puranas, and he wrote Mahabharata. That means there was Bhagavad Gita as well. Then he wrote the Vedanta, the end of all of it. Whatever was supposed to be written, he wrote that. Still, he was despondent. He was not happy. You might have heard about this in the previous lectures, how he was despondent and how it happened that Narad Muni appeared. But he was really not happy about whatever he has. The kind of achievement that he had made is something that's uh, not difficult, but really impossible for anyone today. But still, after making those achievements, he was not at all happy. He was not happy because the Lord was revealed um, by the Lord Himself in the form of a spiritual master. So Narad Muni comes in and he tells to him, gives him a chastisement, um, a spiritual chastisement. So when the Guru comes into our lives, he gives us a spiritual chastisement. He shakes us to allow Krishna to penetrate. We have our igloos made around, due to which we don't let the Guru's words enter our consciousness, but then jerk the heavy words of the Guru. That's needed sometimes for the devotee or the disciple to learn the intricacies of the spiritual knowledge. This is what happened. Narad Muni gave this spiritual science to Vyasdev, but it began with a jerk. It began with a chastisement, a spiritual chastisement. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he gave the knowledge to Arjun, but that began with a spiritual chastisement. And the spiritual chastisement is something that's, we should, as disciples, look forward for. It's not easy for the ego, but then still, that's needed for that. If that's needed, then that will be given for the penetration to happen. So he told that, well, you have written so much, then why are you feeling despondent? You're feeling despondent because you have not given what's needed for the people of Kali Yuga. What's needed for the people of Kali Yuga? You have been mercifully doing so much of hard work. And you know what? Just think about it. Someone does so much of a big thesis, writing some things for years together, and then his teacher comes, his professor comes and says, all this is bogus. Whatever you have done is just bogus. That's troubling. That's difficult. But that's what was done. Narad Muni is telling, well, whatever you have written, that's immaterial. What you need to do is specifically glorify Krishna, because that's what will be helping the mankind in future. Because anything else, it's just going to disturb, just going to trouble the people at large. So please specifically glorify. And then he starts narrating the reason for which he's saying, and this is where we are. So he says in this particular verse that the best remedial measure to remove all the troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activity to the Supreme Lord. If we want to do anything, please do it for the Supreme Lord. So any attempt that one wants to do, that should be utilized for dedicating um, towards the Lord, because then that's ultimate success. Anything that we do and the resultant is remaining with us, that's going to go. Anything that you do and that's meant for the Lord, that's going to stay for eternity. This is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means engaging your senses, your consciousness, your everything for the pleasure of the Lord. Yat karoshi yadasnashi yadjoshi dashi yatit tapasyasya kaunteya tat kurushvamadarpanam. Krishna says you do whatever you're doing. You are eating, you are worshipping, you are sacrificing, you are doing austerities. Do it for me. Um, do it while offering the results to me. That's a that's something to be done. So one must dedicate one's attempt to the mercy of the Lord for ultimate success, because all the mundane attempts will not be enough. So if someone is, Prabhupada gives examples in the purport about um, curing the patient. So he talks about um, if someone is he wants to cross the river, and he wants to cross the river or wants to cure a patient, but until and unless, or here three examples Prabhupada writes. Number one is that the concept what Prabhupada writes is that everything has to be sanctioned by the Lord. Nothing's going to happen until it is sanctioned. The whole world is struggling very hard to exist out of these miseries, this kind of miseries of the body, the mind, and the troubles that one is getting. But one does not know, without the sanction of the Lord, no remedial measure can actually bring about the desired peace, Prabhupada writes. So he gives an example. If some person is struggling, suffering in the hospital, he's taking some medical treatment, and the doctors push in all the medications that is supposed to be done, but they wait for the body to respond. In spite of the best of the doctors, the best of the medications, the best of the equipments, The doctors wait for the body to respond. They just wait. Let the kidney, is it responding? Is the liver responding to our treatments? We are pushing in all the chemicals. We are doing whatever is needed. But ultimately, it's the body that has to respond. What does it mean? It means that it's not just, what we do is sufficient. Ultimately, we have to wait for the Lord's sanction. That's the thing that Prabhupada is highlighting here. Second thing Prabhupada says is, someone is wanting to cross the ocean by a suitable boat, but one will not be able to do it until it is sanctioned by the Lord. Sometimes the parents, they're wanting to protect the child, and they have been doing that multiple times. But sometimes, if the Lord is not sanctioning it, they'll not be able to protect the child. There's three example Prabhupada quotes, and he says that we should know for certain that the Lord is the ultimate sanctioning officer. Sanctioning officer, you know, the one who writes approved, you know, the final authority. Without that approval, nothing's going to make any shape. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to move. That is the sanctioning authority of the Lord. So, this has to be understood by everyone in our lives. We may do our part, but ultimately, until it is sanctioned by the Lord, it's not going to move. So this is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as well. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, it's mentioned that there any kind of endeavor will not be complete, until and unless there are five, aspects to that. Five aspects. What are those five aspects? Let us see. I'll just share the screen for your pleasure. You can see this is 18th chapter, text number 13 and 14. So 13, it is told there are five things. According to the Vedanta, there are five causes for accomplishment for all action. Now learn this. What are the five things? Adhishtanam tatha karta karanam cha prathak pradam vividhascha prathak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchama. Five things. Number one, adhishtanam. Number two, karta. Number three, karanam. Number four, cheshta. Number five, daivam. What is the meaning? Adhishthana means the place. You need a place to enact. That means the body. Then the karta, the person who is doing it. Then the karanam. You need some instruments to enact anything. Then, in spite of having the instruments, the person, the worker, the karta, and as well as the body, one has to put his endeavors. Udyameen hi tishtanti karyani na manorathi. If one wants to achieve something, one has to put his udyam, that means mehnat, that means endeavors. But these four things are not sufficient. There is one more thing, Daivam, the Supreme. So the five things, the place of action, the performer, the various senses, many different kinds of endeavor, ultimately the super soul. These are the five factors of action. Without these five things, any one of this is not enacting, then things will not be complete. And for our information, we have some kind of control at some points of times over the four aspects, not the fifth one. The fifth one is Daivam. That means the super soul. So these four things are in sometimes in our control and not at any time the super soul is in our control. That means the Lord. So ultimately the sanctioner is the Lord. Without his sanction, as we say, patta bhi nahi hilta. Not even a leaf moves without the sanction of the Lord. So this is what Prabhupada is pointing out here, that the Lord is all powerful. We should know for certain that any kind of activity that we do will not be complete without the sanction of the Lord. And that is the reason Prabhupada says that we should dedicate our attempts to the mercy of the Lord for the success. What is the success? To dedicate our attempts for His service. So one must dedicate everything to the service of the Lord. And Prabhupada again gives three aspects to this. If someone is a Brahmana, someone is having a Brahmanical mindset, then what he does is he philosophizes, he writes literatures, he he becomes a scientist or becomes a philosopher, right? So all of that one should do to employ his learning to establish the supremacy of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada writes. So if someone is having a learned Brahmanical aspect, Brahmanical mindset, then if someone is a learned scholar, scientist, philosopher, poet, then he should employ his learning to establish the supremacy of the Lord. Someone is having Kshatriya mentality. Someone is a businessman, an industrialist, an agriculturist. I'm sorry. Someone is an administrator, statesman, warrior, a politician. Then one should try to establish the Lord's supremacy in the statesmanship. Bring the Lord in the forefront and tell He is supreme, not me. Someone is a Vaishya. Someone is having a business kind of mentality. Someone is a businessman, an industrialist, an agriculturist. There's all in the purport. I'm just pulling out things from there. Then one should spend his hard-earned money for the cause of the Lord. Engage Lakshmi in service of Narayana and be happy. That is the way to realize Lord in every sphere of life. Anyone at any point of time can dedicate whatever he is endeavoring for, the resultant of that for the Lord. If someone is a student, he can study for the pleasure of the Lord. He can now when we tell this to students, they ask, how to do that? You can speak that, but how to do that? Yes, you can do that. When you get results, you tell this is all Krishna's mercy. When you get placed in a company, that's what's happened in the country, India, and all the colleges. When people enter the universities to get placements. Study is a byproduct or a secondary thing. More important is how's the placement. If the study is good, placement is not good. Placement is good, study is not good. Yes. So placements, companies call and recruit them. They're right there. And universities in the West, I heard there is no concept of placements, right? Just you have to apply. So, when you get any kind of good placements or good recruitment or whatever, people will say, "Wow, you did the hard work." And a Krishna conscious devotee says, "Not me. It's Krishna's mercy." It's not just he says he feels that. It's not just he feels that, he lives it. So this is how one dedicates his activities for the pleasure of the Lord. And then when one says that feels from the heart, then there are more people who get attracted to Krishna Bhakti. That's his service. Similarly, a simple householder, a homemaker, a lady, she's just cooking, traditional ladies in the Oriental countries. They're just simply cooking food and feeding to their family members. And how to engage that in Krishna service? Oh, whatever you're doing, do it for Krishna. So you cook for Krishna. Generally, we cook, and it's a very amazing I mean, just a recent meditation. Cooking is such an amazing thing. You see, generally what happens is we cook keeping the person whom for whom we are cooking in mind, keeping that person in mind we cook. Like, generally, if a wife is cooking for the husband, then she will wonder that too much spice my husband will not like, or he likes spicy, something like that. Another ways you can see, if uh, mother is cooking for the child, then she will put little extra sugar or little extra, according to the taste of the child for whom she is cooking. So when the cooking is happening, it's an endeavor, but it's a conscious endeavor, keeping the person for whom that service is being done at the center, right? Now, um, let us bring it to the spiritual platform. We cook for Krishna. Now, what does Krishna like? When I when I put this spice, will Krishna appreciate it? When I cut it with this angles, will Krishna like it? It is so absorbing. It is so wonderful. The simple service of cooking can make a person completely Krishna conscious. And you offer that and then you distribute it. I was once in the temple at what was that? Um, New Jersey, the central New Jersey area is gone. Not remembering the name of that. Plainsfield, yeah. So there was a Mataji. She was cooking that day, and she was offering arati. And then, after all that happened, I was there with my parents and my brother and my nephew, and we had all that Raj Bhoga after all that arati was done. And that same Mataji who had cooked, she did the arati, she was serving. And I asked, would you not take? She told, no, I have cooked, I will not take. I was like, wow, that's a standard. Many devotees do that when they offer or when they cook, they will not take because, while cooking, they should not feel those emotions that, okay, I will also enjoy this. It's subtle, you see. When you do it for Krishna, and then whatever remnants are coming back, you're serving it to everyone who is there, understanding that they're servants of Krishna, they're friends of Krishna. So this is working for Krishna, right? Engaging our conscious energy for Krishna, spending for Krishna. And someone who is earning money, he's thinking, I'm doing all this job for what? At the end of the day, at the end of the month, I get a pay slip. Well, that's for Krishna. Engage that for Krishna. Give some donations, give for a cause or for regular services. So this is what is, this purport Prabhupada is putting. So, and then he also says that, well, um, when Narad Muni is telling these things, he's actually quoting his story of his previous life when he was a um, child. So, in the previous life, he was a child of a maid servant. So that's what he's quoting, and all the Bhakti Vedantas they come and they are giving this knowledge. So I'm realizing that I'm too slow according to the number of slokas that I'm supposed to cover today. Okay, I'll catch up. I'll catch up. So, so Narad Muni is actually he's quoting his previous life. We may not know his previous life, but he's quoting that to set an example for Vyasdev to learn. And when he is doing that, he is telling that, well, this Bhakti Vedantas, they came and when they were going, they gave me the knowledge, they gave me the jnana. And this section which we are reading is today is all about those knowledge that they had given to him. They gave him the secret of spiritual life. What is that? Employ all the matter that is existing in your control in the service of the Lord and make the best use of the bad bargain. We are in a bad bargain. We are in the situation. This is a clutter. We are in this material world. We are bound by the modes. We are bound by our body. We are bound by our emotions, our mind. So much of kleshas all around. Um, if I want to do something, I'm not independent. I am having limitations. But um, the art of living is to employ anything that is in my control for the pleasure of the Lord. I'm having control over my body. Let me use it for the service of the Lord. I am having control over my mind. Whatever control little bit I'm having over my senses and my mind, let it be used for the service of the Lord. Sitis seva gatir yatra smritis chinta sutirvacha bhuya sarvatmana Vishnu madiyam tvaya cheshtitam. Whenever I speak, let me speak about Krishna. Whenever I hear, let me hear about Krishna. Whenever I open my iPhone, let me do that for reading something or hearing something about Krishna. Recently, BBT has launched an app, Transcend. Let us use that app to transcend the material modes and hear audiobooks, read scriptures instead of going into the shorts and the what is that called, the reels. That's what people spend their majority of the time. And it takes so much nowadays to convince a person that you're wasting your time with that. And they're like, well, that's my regular activity. That's what I have been doing for all these years. And we have to tell to the students sometimes when we are preaching, we're telling the students, there was a time when there was no Instagram, there was no Instagram reels. There were people existing and they were still breathing. And there were people existing without the YouTube shorts as well. And they're like, okay. It's like nowadays to imagine life without that, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. But yeah, um, the solution to that is do everything for Krishna. If you are using your mobile phone, use it for Krishna. If you are reading, please read for Krishna. If you are hearing, hear about Krishna. Employ all matter in Lord's service, and that's the best use of the bad bargain, right? So Narad Muni is saying, well, you are supposed to not do karma, right? Then how are you using karma for Krishna service? And Narad Muni says, what's the problem? Is this is I mean, the verse, it talks that it's okay um, to um, cure a disease which is caused by the same thing that is causing the disease. I mean, you are curing the disease by the same thing which is causing the disease, by a little bit of change. So this is an analogy given by Narad Muni, and Prabhupada explains that someone is having someone eats lots of sandesh and malapuas and all but sweets which is made up of milk, and there is some problem in the bowls, but the same milk can be transformed into yogurt, curd, and that curd can be utilized for curing the disease. So, hence proved. So, what is being proved here is you are acting, you are not announcing, you are not leaving, you are acting, you are doing your work, you are doing karma, but you're doing it for Krishna, engaging it for Krishna. That's perfect karma. If you are a student, you're studying for Krishna, that's perfect. If you are an employee, you are being utilizing your resources for Krishna, your intelligence for Krishna. That's perfect. Perfection of life is to do everything for Krishna. Yeah, and that's what Narad Muni is telling to you, to Vyasadeva. And then he says that actually the cause of bondage, the activities that ordinarily cause perpetual bondage, when it is dedicated to the service of the Lord, that destroys the tree, the shackles of karma. The same activity. And the cause of bondage becomes the cause of liberation. This is the art of karma yoga. So the gradual development of devotional service in the association of pure devotees is explained in this purport of Srila Prabhupada. Right? So this is the 34th verse. In that it is told gradually what happens is, you know, when a devotee he comes in association of um, devotees, neophyte devotees, they render some service physically and mentally without reservation. Prabhupada writes that in association, the neophyte devotees must render loving service physically and mentally without reservation. I'll share the screen for your pleasure. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So the neophyte devotees must render loving service mentally, physically, both without reservation. This service attitude will induce the great souls to be more favorable in bestowing their mercy, which injects the neophyte with all the transcendental qualities of pure devotees. So first thing, render service. Before that, here you see, first of all, one has to take association of pure devotees who are realized. That is number one. Number two, in that association, one must render loving service physically and mentally. Engage your senses, engage your mind without reservation. Don't take too much, at least do some service. Number three, by doing that, one will get mercy of the great souls, which will lead him with all wonderful qualities. Then what happens? This leads to a strong attachment to hearing the pastimes of the Lord. Now we have a little bit of attachment. Some of you will be having strong, most of you will be having very strong. But at least for me, I'm having very little attachment to hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But when one gets that attachment, then one gets attached to um, hearing and reciting, and again hearing and reciting more about the Bhagavatam. And then he goes beyond the gross and subtle bodies and enters into the eternal relationship with the Lord. Right? There's a step-by-step concepts mentioned here. The summary is that, and Prabhupada summarizes this. Very wonderful section of the purport. Right? So, step-by-step method is mentioned. Gradually, how one um, grows in devotional service in the association of pure devotee. So, what is the lesson? The lesson is that the propensity of enjoyment can be turned to the desire for serving in the mission of the Supreme Lord. That's the point. Then, in the 35th verse, Srila Narada Muni tells to Vyasdev that whatever work is done for the satisfaction of Lord's mission is known as Bhakti Yoga. Yad atra kriyate karma bhagavat paritoshanam. Toshanam, santoshan. That is meant for the pleasure, the satisfying the Lord. Jnanam yaccha adhinam hi bhakti yogam samanvitam. So, Bhakti Yoga is the work that is done for the satisfaction of the Lord. And Jnana, which is there, that is just a concomitant factor. It's an additional thing. Bhakti yoga means work done for the satisfaction of the Lord, and that is completely independent of any jnana or karma. But that's not the case the other ways. Jnana, if someone wants to do, then also one has to add some content of bhakti into it. Then only he will get success. Karma, if someone wants to do, then also he has to act with bhakti to add some factor. Then only it gets to reach its destination. Without bhakti, jnana, karma, ashtanga, nothing works. But bhakti is completely independent of any jnana, karma, anything. You don't do any jnana, any karma. It's full and complete. Purna. It's completely independent. Bhakti yoga is independent of karma and jnana. So the conclusion is that the devotee engaged in unalloyed devotional service of the Lord, specifically Shravanam, Kirtanam of the Lord, becomes simultaneously spiritually enlightened by the divine grace, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So he is hearing and chanting, but just hearing and chanting, he gets enlightened. You know. Further, in 36th verse, Krishna, Narad Muni explains, one remembers Lord Krishna while working according to the order of Lord Krishna. And that's very natural. If you are remembering the Lord while working according to his orders, it's very natural. Expert devotee, he does what? He molds his life in order to facilitate remembrance of the Lord. In any sphere of life. In Vedic duties, he is the Yageshwara. In ordinary dealings, he's the, I am the Supreme Bhoktaram, Yagyatapasam, Sarvaloka, Maheshwaram, Suhridam, Sarva Bhutanam, Jnanatmamam, Shantim Richatihi. So he is complete. He is in all ordinary dealings also, he is the enjoyer. So this is the process of remembering, the pure devotee, he does keep chanting constantly the Lord's names, forms, qualities, and pastings, and that's why he is always in touch with the Lord. And Prabhupada mentions that one should, give donations. 50% of one's income, not profit, 50% of one's income should be given as a donation. For what? For preaching, for giving prasad, for singing, for dancing, for organizing Sankirtana movement. This is what Prabhupada writes in this purport, 36th verse purport. And he says that the successful execution of duties, how can that happen? How can that happen? How can one be sure that whatever duty I'm doing is complete and successful? That can happen only under the guidance of a pure devotee, not by one's own speculation. If one speculates, maybe this is right, maybe that is right, one will be baffled. But only under the guidance of Ashuddha Bhakta, a representative of Krishna, one will go ahead. 37th verse is very wonderful. I think we should recite this verse. Very beautiful verse. I'll just share the screen. Let it go. Yeah. 35, 36, 37. Very beautiful verse. It's like kind of a concluding verse and very sweet verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudevaya Dhimahi Pradyumnaya Anirudhyaya Namaha Shankarshanaya Cha. Would you like to recite? Is it possible to recite? I will recite the one line, then you recite after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam
Vasudevaya Dhimahi
Vasudevaya Dhimahi
Pradyumnaya Anuruddhaya
Pradyumnaya Nuruddhaya
Namaha Sankarshanaya Cha.
Namaha Sankarshanaya Cha.
Let us all chant the glories of Vasudev along with his plenary expansions Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana. Such a sweet words. So let us all chant, let us all engage our conscious energies to chant, the glories of the Lord. Such a beautiful, verse. So Narad Muni advises to his disciple, "Oh, my dear Vyasa, please chant, always chant, and remember the glories of Sri Krishna along with his plenary portions." So, what lesson can we learn? Any transactions, either in the field of karma or jnana, that means fruitive activity, or empiric philosophy, which is not aimed at the transcendental realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is nothing else than useless. It's just useless. Any karma, any jnana, please connect it to Krishna. Then everything is perfect. Like Prabhupada explains, lots of zeros we do. You know, once I went to one university and I was, writing on the board that, you are all studying now in the university, it's a big zero. They're like, what? And then you'll get a job, one more zero. And then you will get promoted, there are more zeros. Then you may get married, one more zero. Then you'll have children, two small, small zeros. It's all a long list of zeros. Oh, don't tell this is wrong. But just you add one in the front, all the zeros will be making sense. And without that one, in unlimited zeros you may add, it's ultimately a big zero. At the end of life, they say khali haath aaye the, khali haath jayenge. Whatever we have, we had got nothing, we'll take nothing. So what's the gain? It's a loss. But if we choose to just add this one Krishna out there, everything is perfect and complete. And just adding on, what's the problem? It's that simple. Last verse for today, the 38th verse, it's talking about um, that the importance of transcendental sound vibration as a means of realization of Lord's form. So this was, it's like the actual seer. Who is the actual seer? Is the one who worships the Lord in the form of sound representation, the holy name, in the form of um, dhvani. So, um, so that this is the word here is mantra murtim amurtikam. Mantra murtim. Anything that is beyond the scope of experience from our imperfect senses can be realized fully by the sound representation. And we also understand that there is a Pancharatrika system in which we are offering lots of service to the deity, and that is much more important than Vedanta. Going through the process of Vedanta and understanding, because that's not meant for this age, right? So the Vedic or mantra, dhimahi, that is wonderful. And dhyana mantra, here is told mantra murtim. So that is the representation of the transcendental sound. That is what we should. And anytime that happens, Prabhupada will say that we should chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So whatever capacities we have, we should try our best to chant and chant attentively. And chanting attentively means hearing. So the whole process of bhakti is all about hearing. Vyasdeva is simply hearing here Narad Muni. So the process of bhakti is hearing. We chant, but that is not complete till the time we hear our chanting. We the process of bhakti is shravanam. So we are simply hearing Bhagavatam, and you are on the other side of the planet, yet still you are hearing. But the good news is for me is when I am speaking something, the closest ear to my ear, my mouth is my own ears. So I am hearing, you know. So at least that much is guaranteed that I am trying to hear what I am trying to speak. So there's someone is getting benefited. And whatever you can take from the hearing that we are having now from the pages of Bhagavatam, that's to your glory. So this is so sweet and so simple. There is no inability, there is no complications. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, I was also a seeker, and I went to at least 15 different organizations, inquiring them about God when I was, from the age of 11 to 18, I was kind of looking. But this process of bhakti is so sweet, so simple, and so full, fulfilling. It's so complete. There is no need to hover around. The only thing that we have to do is sincere to ourselves. We should be sincere to ourselves. We can cheat many people, but we should not cheat ourselves. So being sincere to ourselves, if we chant the holy name consciously, hearing the holy name, when we read the Shastras attentively, spending time with Bhagavatam, and when we are spending time with devotees, and being Krishna conscious in Nam Sankirtan, the holy name, Sankirtan of the holy name, and while hearing about the Katha of the Lord, that's all. That is it. Nothing more. Yes. So thank you all very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to virtually be a part of ISKCON Calgary, although I don't have the visa to come there, but by the mercy of uh, inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I'm right there amongst you. And I have got visa only from US. I can't come to Calgary now. I mean, it's not needed as well, and I'm not eligible according to the standards. So, thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to glorify Bhagavatam, to repeat the words of Sri Narada Muni. And uh, if anything I spoke you did not like, please forgive me. If anything was of worth, then it's all glories of the whole parampara, who is so mercifully giving us this wonderful, opportunity uh, to uh, to taste nectar of this literature. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was like entire Krishna conscious philosophy, in a compact nectar form. You delivered it right from how we should do our karma and concluding with the chanting of the holy name. If it's okay, Prabhuji, we can take a few question answers. Is it okay? I know it's a little late for you,
I'm having all time of the planet with me for you, but up to you. I mean, I don't know if I'm going overtime or whatever. It's up to
no, no,
you. If anyone
that's
has
okay.
any thoughts, please share. If anyone has any questions, I'm okay. If there is no questions, then also I'm okay.
You can come here. Other devotee can be ready after this.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question is, I'm having a doubt. It's just for my ignorance. Uh, we we understand in ISKCON that Krishna is the personality of Godhead. and we also read in Gita, Prabhupada clearly mentioned his purpose. But for India, it is like one God, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and those are, I mean, gods are one, and people don't understand that philosophy that okay, there is one supreme personality of Godhead, and all others are devas. So, how to convince this to people who are not knowing? I know, I mean, it is mentioned in Gita one place, I have read, but can you please elaborate how we can convince this to everyone?
So, yeah, it is generally the notion of the people is that Krishna is also one of the avatars among so many avatars and all that stuff. And in general, people don't appreciate and accept when we just speak about, Krishna, right? And we speak only about Krishna. But the fact is, that is the truth. That is the ultimate eternal truth. Um, so, how to understand that? That is, we have a whole, like Daishampu has designed a whole PPT about why do we accept Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead? Why do you accept Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead? There's a whole slideshow of 62 slides. But to cut things short, I will just show you the one slide, out of that, and that is this. So the first thing is 8 things here, 8 points. There can be multiple points. So first thing is, although Krishna appears as a human form, he is transcendental. Janma karma cha me divyam. So his divyata, his transcendence can be explained to someone. Like Krishna ate dirt, but he showed Brahmanda to his mother. Like Krishna, he took birth in a jail, but everything got released and all that stuff, various pastimes of the Lord. And then he has lifted the Govardhana hill on his tiny finger. No one else can do that. It's superhuman activity. So he's not human. He's superhuman. He's beyond that. He's transcendental. Second thing is, the demigods are Krishna's subordinates. There is a whole, again, this is all the conclusions. So I'm just putting things short. If you want, this is all recorded in Raishambu's this thing website is there. You can refer to that. It's a whole PDF which he kind of gives a seminar on that, about 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours seminar. So the demigods are there, but all the demigods, no one ever said, I am God. Only Krishna says, I am God. Mattah paratam na anyat kinchitasi dhananjaya. Bhuktaram yajnatapasam. Who can say this? This is told by Krishna. Why? Because he is not lying. Why doesn't anyone else say that? Because they also don't want to lie. Is it not? And we give examples, like if you go to the ministers, there is all this cabinet ministers, but there is the prime minister. The prime minister is the supremo. The cabinet minister are his followers, like that. And we can give another example of a professor. He also looks with the same, suit, boot, tie, coat, just like a director. But the director in a university is different than the professors. So like that, we can give examples and explain people. Another thing which is there is 6 opulences of Krishna. The 6 opulences, they are in full present with Krishna, not with anyone else. And another thing is Krishna's devotees are always protected. There are lots of things here. Further, Krishna's birth and activity as transcendental. Krishna possesses 4 qualities which are absent in Vishnu. 4 special qualities which are this special Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri. These are all qualities, and Leela Madhuri, Bhakta Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, and Rupa Madhuri. So these are various special qualities of Krishna. And Krishna is the source of all incarnations. There are various incarnations, but who is that Krishna from whom Balaram emanates, from whom the Chaturvyuha emanates, from whom the Sankarsana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, they emanate in the second quadruple expansion and emanates, and from there Narayana emanates, from there Mahavishnu, Karunadaksha Vishnu emanates, from there Garbhodaksha Vishnu emanates, and from there Shirodaksha Vishnu emanates, who is expanding to the various incarnations. So Krishna is the source of all of them, like that. So that's how we can explain to people, But before that, Bhagavad Gita is just one thing. There are lots of things. Like there is the hands of Krishna are having 16 symbols, and the lotus feet of Krishna is having 16 markings, and all the Puranas are also coming to the same conclusion. So Krishna is God. No one else has told that. Only Krishna is telling. See, when there is just one last thing, when there is this various literatures. So, in let us say example of Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata, if Arjuna is speaking, it's not Arjuna Vacha. When Bhishma is speaking, Bhishma Vacha. Sanjay is speaking, Sanjay Vacha. When Krishna is speaking, it's not Krishna's Vacha. It's Sri Bhagavan Vacha. And what is that Bhagavan? The Bhagavan has been explained by the father of Vyasadeva, Parashar Muni, the possessor of 6 opulences. So like that, we can explain. There are lots of things actually. 10 points how Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a whole slideshow. Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. And if it is possible, if you can share the PDF what you are referring, that would be really great.
Yeah, why not? Sure. It's meant for sharing only.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for a nice class. There's a question from a devotee. You mentioned that we may do our part, but until the Lord wants that to happen, it might not happen. How do we be detached in the process while waiting to see what the Lord's desire is? How do we surrender even while we are suffering?
This is a deep question, and thus deserves a deeper answer. So I will attempt. So when there are problems, then it is difficult to see that it is meant for something higher. When there are reversals, then it is difficult to understand that it is meant for something better. Something more beautiful thing is going to come. That's very natural, because the person, when he is going through a phase of struggle and suffering for some period of time, at that point, during those times, it's the capacity for the intelligence to process those emotions, it's difficult. It gets exhausted, and then our rational thinking, it comes to the conclusion that either we blame ourselves and get depressed, or we start blaming people around, the environment, the situations, the system, the troubles, the management, and get troubled. So there are 3 ways to respond to anything. I have learned this from Garanda Prabhu, so I'm quoting it. 3 ways. One is the emotional way. emotional ways. We are facing some challenges, some trouble, and we break down. I can't do it. I can't handle it. It's becoming too much for me. It's beyond my capacity to tolerate. Some people, they run away. They just can't handle it. Or some people, they feel, that let me delve myself into forgetfulness by intoxicating myself, or by engaging into some things which is um, just befooling me. I just don't want to live in the present because present is troubling me. Many people, they end up doing this, and some unfortunate people, they end up committing suicides because they don't want to go through those tough phase of their lives. Right? Is this making sense till now? Yeah. So the first thing which I told is the responses that we face when we are in a situation which is turmoiling. First type of response is emotional response. I am unable to handle it and I break down emotionally. That is option number one. Option number two, political response. Political response is he's wrong, the system is bad. You catch some more people towards you and make a whole group and say hi, the system is bad, this is wrong, that's bad, and do a big hue and cry of the situation instead of mending things, find solutions to it. We are creating more issues and problems. Third response is a devotional response, and pages after pages Srimad Bhagavatam teaches how to face this devotional response, how to have this response. Tatte nukampam sushamikshmana bhunjava eva kritam vipakam. When there is, Brahmaji is teaching us, when there is problems knocking our door, we should not cry. We should not pull out our swords. We should join our hands and say, thank you, Krishna. Thank you for this. You have given me so many nice things. And now, if you wish me to go through this, I thank you. And when I thank Krishna with a grateful heart, Brahmaji says that he is an heir to the spiritual world. He's gonna go there. Like someone, Dai Bhak is the words used there. Dai Bhak. He's going to get it. He just has to continue living. He's just going to get it. Like if I am the only son of my father and he is having any property, that's going to come to me. Just what I have to do is I have to live. That's all. So similarly, anyone has got this attitude, the devotional attitude of facing problems, reversals in life by saying, Krishna, thank you. I am agreeing to accept this because it is coming from you. It is Daiva. It is not that I desired it, but it has come. So when, it's a matter of fact, Prahlad Maharaj says in the seventh canto that we don't desire bad days, but it comes. Similarly, you don't have to work hard for the good days because it will come. Because it is in our Daiva. It is destined. Now, what do you do with that? That's your free will. When bad times come, what's your response? That is something that we have to choose. When good times comes, what is our response? That is something that we have to choose. Right? So when we are having bad times, we can choose to be emotional, but that's not greatest. We can choose to be political, that's not at all good. We can choose to be devotional, For that, we have to learn the basics of the Bhagavad Gita and see the examples, the shining examples of Bhagavatam. When Chitraketu Maharaj is cursed, become a demon, he could have counter cursed. He didn't. He accepted it. Thank you. And he went back home, back to Godhead after that. Just one more life. When Parikshit Maharaj is cursed, you are going to die within 7 days, 7 nights. He could have counter cursed. He accepted it. Thank you. He expected and accepted it. And then there was the origin of Srimad Bhagavatam. When Jai Vijay were cursed, they did not retaliate. They were wondering, what to do, because we have spoiled the good name of our Lord Vishnu. But Lord Vishnu was smiling. They were happy. Okay, you want us to become demons? We will do that. It is for your pleasure. You want us to fight with you? We will do that. It is for your pleasure. This is bhakti. Bhakti is beyond logics of our limited 250-gram substance within our head. Bhakti is much more than that. No, I'm sorry, half a pound. That's what you call in your place. Grams and all that. Half a pound substance within our head. We cannot understand it so easily. It has to be learned from the realized souls. That's the only hope. Right? So now, when we are on, this is easy to hear, difficult to practice, right? Devotional response, difficult to practice. But how to learn to practice? We can learn to practice by regularly hearing of them who have practiced before, right? So here in Pune, there is a cantonment, and in that cantonment, they have put pictures of the Indian Army, and they have put a tagline. One of the taglines is, "Those who sweat in peace, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war." Right? The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. Generally, we don't want to do the hard work when there are good times. And then we face the bad times and we wonder, why is it happening with me? Do your part when there is peace. The bad days are not there now. So find out time to prepare for that, because it is going to come for sure in various ways in each one of our lives. That's the bad news, but that's the truth. It is going to come. So what we are supposed to do is please prepare for it by going through this wonderful literature of Bhagavatam. You just have to see what is the response of these people when they are facing reversals. Each of the stories filled with reversals. Just see how beautifully they are going through that, and they're elevating themselves. Bhagavatam is so beautiful. And then we will be able to understand that when it comes to us at the spur of the moment, then we will be able to face it. You'll remember Parikshit Maharaj, you'll remember Prahlad Maharaj. Oh, his father was troubling him, tormenting him because they were chanting Hare Krishna. When you will face troubles while you are practicing bhakti, you will not be troubled because you'll remember Prahlad. Itna to hamara, we are not having that kind of a problematic situation. It's okay. Be peaceful. So like that, when you see the Pandavas, what kind of life was there? Such a sacrifice, life filled with just sacrifice. What did they enjoy? After Mahabharata, their average age was 94, 95. They lived for 120 years, 125 years. Just last 35, 36 years they enjoyed. That's all. Rest whole day, whole life was just tapasya. Just reversals after reversals after reversals. Best of the devotees of the Lord. The Lord is dining with them, playing with them, sporting with them, sleeping with them, and this is what is their situation. We are having a better time than them for sure. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Anybody else would like to ask any questions? So I think that's all we have. But thank you so much for enlightening us and giving us your association. It was really wonderful to be able to hear from you, and especially on this wonderful section of Srimad Bhagavatam. So once again, Pro would like to really thank you for accepting to give your association at the last moment. And please forgive us for any mistake or anything that we might have done from our side. Thank you very much.
I seek forgiveness from each one of you because you were anticipating the wonderful association of His Grace Kanai Thakur Prabhu today, but you had to tolerate my pathetic person like me. So I seek for forgiveness from each one of you. I really am sorry for troubling you for last 1 hour, 20 minutes or so. Please forgive me for that. And I hope and pray that next time you don't have to go through this torturing moments. Thank you so much.
I
Hare
would
Krishna.
like to hear more from you, Guruji, certainly. Thank you, Guru. Hare Krishna. Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.